Hello, beautiful. Welcome back to my channel. Today, I am bringing you all a new parting technique that I'm trying with some medium knotless that I'm doing on my client. And yeah, if you want to see how this turned out, just stay tuned. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get started. As you can see, I am starting off with doing a middle part right down the center of my client's head. This part is actually going to be the basis of this style. I'm going to take it from the top of her head all the way to the back. And I don't know about y'all, but it take me a minute to get my middle parts perfect. Like, I don't know why it take me so long, but what has helped me is placing the comb right in the middle of my client's nose and just leaning the comb back and basing that part right off of the center of her nose and, you know, her forehead and stuff like that. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. As you can see here, I really didn't show y'all a good angle of that because my client really didn't want to be shown with her hair like this. But as you can see, I'm placing it right on her nose, getting a little personal. You may have to get in your client lap a little bit just to get this right. But yeah, this is what helps me, and maybe it'll help y'all. Step back, take a look, do whatever you got to do. That middle part, man, it is it's something else. I think it literally takes me probably like 10 to 20 minutes to get the middle part right. But yeah, so I finally got it done as close to perfect as it's gonna get. And yeah, like I said, I took it from the top to the back of her head. Now I'm gonna go from, I'm gonna part off her nape. I do this all the time in my regular parting anyways. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and start off with one side first and just part from the middle over to the, probably like the top of her ear. And so I got that side done, or not the top of her ear, maybe like the middle of her ear. And then I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. Just go ahead and part that off and clean up that part. Now, I told y'all that this was a new technique that I'm trying. I saw somebody else doing this parting style, so I just wanted to give it a try and see how it worked and see if I wanted to implement it. Now, where I went wrong with this is parting off the nape section. I went a little too far high, and so you're going to see later that I'm going to have to kind of correct that because it will kind of mess up the braiding parts just a little bit. But yeah, so with my with my medium knotless braids, the way that I do them, I do 3 rows in the nape of their head, and then I do 5 rows on each side. So it's 10 rows going across the top for my medium knotless. And so yeah, as you can see, I got that very first parting, the very first row parted off. I still have it based off of that middle part. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to split that into 3 sections, 3 even sections. And I'm going to base that off of that middle part. So I'm going to take basically half, like I said, just split it into 3 evens. You're going to see what I mean when I move on to the next row, sorry. But yeah, go ahead and do your first braid. Yeah, it's something about that very first braid and that very last braid. I don't know what it is, but it's something about it. It's like you're starting so promising and it's great and you're full of energy. And by the time you get to that last braid, you're like, whoo, goodness gracious. Everything in between is just a blur. But yeah, go ahead and get that first braid done. Got the first and the second braid done. Now I'm moving on to the third one. All right, so the first row is now done. As you can see, I have the 3 braids there. Now I'm gonna move on to the second row. And as you can see, it's already, I kind of messed up there with that parting. So as you can see, that's turned into a V instead of an actual row, but yeah. So now this is where I wanna break it down for y'all. Okay, so as you can see, off the middle part, I'm gonna split, this is gonna be 4 braids. So I'm splitting this based off of the middle of the braid right beneath it. So, and I'm just gonna give that, get that into even sections. So yeah, based off the braid right below it, I'm using that one as my base, and I'm basically putting my part right down the middle of that braid right below it. This helps the braids to lay flat and right in between one another. Instead of laying right on top of each other, they're gonna flow evenly and like fill in all the gaps. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do that braid, and I'm gonna show y'all again as I move up in the rows. But yeah, that's basically what this parting style does and how it helps to make the braids look better. Like I said, it just fills in those gaps and you can't really see in between the braids, as some people don't like. When it comes to the knotless braids, they want it to look more full, and this just gives it a more full look. So that's the second row. As you can see, all the braids lay right on top of, right in between the next braid underneath it, or the next braids underneath it. So yeah, like you can see, I had to kind of fix it. It's a little off, but we're gonna work with it still. And now I'm splitting that into taking half of that section, because now I'm gonna do a braid right down the middle, closing off the middle part that I have there, the original middle part. So yeah, just going right in based off the braids beneath it. And yeah, and this is gonna lay right between those two braids underneath it. I hope this makes sense. If this makes sense, give me like a peace sign or something in the comments. Now, this top half, it was a real booger, y'all. Like, it really gave me a hard time. I don't know if, I really don't know where I went wrong with this. But it took me probably like 20 or 30 minutes to try to pre-part her top half. As you can see, I did go ahead and part from ear to ear on both sides. And I'm starting off at the top of her head. To go ahead and get that first like row that'll actually be the middle, the middle braids. So yeah, I'm going ahead and it's starting off good. I'm confident. I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be great. Go ahead and get that section off. Now here's where I start noticing, I'm like, wait a minute, I don't have enough hair to get my 5 sections on this side, because I need 5 rows in order for this to be my person. I do 5 rows for my mediums. So I need, this to work out. It's giving an even 4 rows. And I'm just like, what in the world? Hold on, wait a minute. So I go ahead and start, twisting it up, trying to put it into sections. I'm really trying to make it work, y'all. I'm really trying. And this is the fun part of being a braider, being a hairstylist. It's like you never stop learning. You never stop learning. You got to figure out new ways all the time. So yeah, working there, I got my 2 rows. Now this is supposed to be a 3rd row, but as you can see, there's not enough hair for, another 2 rows up after that. Like, yeah, it's not working. It's not working at all. So now I'm gonna go back to that 1st row and try again, splitting that up. Like I said, it took me about 20 or 30 minutes just for this one side of her head to try to get 5 even rows. I eventually just kind of give up, and I go to the other side of her head and get that side parted off, and it worked out perfectly. And so instead of trying to get this side perfect, I basically got the other side perfect, and I bounced and worked around. Basically, like I parted from that side going around as I was braiding. So yeah, it ended up working out in the end perfectly. But like initially I was just like, oh man, this is gonna be bad. I was feeling kind of nervous. So yeah, like I just based it off of the other side and just parted around. I just gave up on those, trying to pre-part that side completely. And so yeah, once again, I am going ahead and starting off parting based off the middle of the braid right beneath, and just letting that braid lay right in between. I hope that y'all can see this. I didn't want the video to be long, so I kind of sped up a little bit. But now I realize, like, I'm a talker. I should have maybe slowed it down. But yeah, as you can see, I'm splitting it right down the middle of the braid beneath and working it out like that. My client's ends was a little tangled. It's time for her to get a trim, so I did have to bring out the big comb just so I wouldn't be, ripping her hair out. But yeah, I'm working right on through that. And as you can see, these braids are like laying perfectly right, right on, like right down where that middle part is of the braids beneath it. So yeah, now I moved on to the 2nd row. Okay, so here is where you can see, like I split it right down based on the braid beneath it, that's where I put the part. So it's basically the part is like down the middle of the braid beneath it, and so you can see it there. And then yeah, just put your braid on. Not put your braid on, but go ahead and braid the hair. Not put the braid on. Okay, now we on to the last braid. I am so happy to be at this point because when I tell you I was so nervous, but it ended up working out perfectly. I still ended up having to just go straight back instead of around on the very last like 4 rows across the top. But it worked out. Like I said, the braids laid perfectly to where, like, as you can see, like, there's really no gaps in between. Like, you can see the part still, but as far as, like, it being gappy, you can't really tell that at all. And so, yeah, like, you can see, like, it's laying perfectly, down the parts. Now, as far as doing this parting technique, I do want to say I would give it maybe a 7 out of 10. It's not the most efficient, but like I said, it does look good. Yeah, y'all, I hope that y'all enjoyed this video. And yeah, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. If nobody has told you recently, just know that I love you, you matter, you're important, and you're amazing. Bye, y'all.